What's going on, Deep Rhythm? It's your boy. What's going on, channel? It's your boy Deep Rhythm, and we back with another video. And today we got another video for y'all today. And today we're gonna go over and loop and recap all of the information that we've been stacking on and building upon thus far, right? So in last video, we most certainly talked about operating in angles, and we've also talked about having a peripheral growth, right? Peripheral development, right? So in peripheral development, meaning developing your peripheral nervous system in skills, in commands or functions that will allow you or will run automatically for you while you then focus on the vision, right? So we're going to move on to the next subject that we want to talk about, extending from that, right? In terms of development in that way, right? The peripheral nervous system, and we want to talk about just being able to develop yourself in. We want to be able to talk about developing yourself and understanding, proper form and proper technique in terms of how you're training, right? Because now when we talk about training, right, most people train in the aspect of, they're not using, most people don't use proper form when they train, right? So when we talk about utilizing proper form, we have to be able to understand that this is important, right? In order for psychologically, but also this is important for us, just to make sure that we don't injure ourselves, hurt ourselves, or mess up some other type of bodily function, right? Because we talked about how, sometimes, as people, right? People are different, right? You could have, people can come in the gym and train for completely different reasons. And, and people can conceptualize what good form is depending on their occupation and depending on their job and their craft, right? So if a builder or if a construction worker were to enter a gym and to work out, what their synapses or conceives as proper technique may be different from what a basketball player perceives as proper technique, right? So people's development is different, right? The way that people naturally can conceptualize what is correct and what is correct form and correct technique are not going to be the same due to the person's occupation, due to the person's history and what they have trained themselves in, right? Their history, right? And what they've trained themselves in, right? So now this is how people think differently. You know what I'm saying? What one person may think is proper form, someone else may not be thinking proper form, right? And what one person, conceives as an objective to reach for might be different than what another person from another crafts, what another person is going to observe, and reach for. So everybody may have a different internal perspective in terms of training, right? In within your body, built in functions that you look for, right? So when we talk about proper technique and proper form, the proper form and technique for somebody might be different, depending on their craft and what has already been set and what has already been trained within their own peripheral nervous system. So what a basketball player, in terms of what is right, and how a person should progress, it should be how they've already been progressing, right? It's going to take the form of how a person has already been progressing, is how I'll put it, right? So how a basketball player trains, right, in the gym or in the weight room, right, it should take the form of what they've already been, what they've already been doing and what they're progressing to now, right? So as a basketball player, if you're progressing and want to maintain or have enough strength to be able to, get off that pull-up jump shot, right, you're going to train your biceps with that, not, in the back of your mind. That way, when you actually do the bicep curls, this is what you have running through your head, right? and it's going to translate that way when you get on the basketball court, man. And man, mental training, oh my God, psychological training is so crazy, it's so crucial, and it's so important to everything, and we don't even realize it, right? It's the functionality of and the appliance of what's been of energy that has been or what has been built, right? So as a basketball player, right, if I have that constantly reiterating in my mind that, you know what I'm saying, I have to get stronger to do that pull-up jumper as I'm doing the bicep curl, that is going to rewrite and overwrite, you know what I'm saying, the internal, you know, overwrite neurons in my brain to function them that way and wire my brain that way. And you know, my peripheral nervous system, you know what I'm saying, you know, that way, right? And what's being trained. So that way, when I do actually physically come up into the game, right, and I actually do physically get into a moment where I'm pulling up that jump shot, it's that much more fluent and that much already ready to just be able to just be utilized. You know, that it's like it's a function that's just already built in and ready and just waiting for the signal to fire, right? You know what I'm saying? When it gets in that moment, it just fires automatically, because that's what you've built in mentally, psychologically, right? Because that's what you envision it, right? So this is why I say psychological training is so very important, and like it's so much more important than what people think. You know, in terms of functionality, it's crazy, right? Because psychologically, if wiring neurons, you know, that you build and that you train a specific way is what's going to allow you to be able to perform the functionality properly, right? Whatever that may be. So really, so technically the psychological portion of what it is you're doing is in fact more important than how much you stack and build upon it, right? It's almost like that's the first thing. You know what I'm saying? Is what the functionality is, and what are we wiring? You know what I'm saying? What are we wiring our nervous system to react to, right? And to fire, and you know what I'm saying, and to be able to fire to, right? So yeah, I wanted to touch on how important that is, right? In terms of you know, development. But back to what I was saying about the construction worker, right? So when you have, you know, a construction worker, right, they may pull up to the gym and the weight room and just be like, you know what I'm saying, when they work out, what's going to be on their mind, right? First, it's going to be what's already been trained, right? Lifting things. You know what I'm saying? Lifting things, you know, pellets and the you know, tree, you know, so tree chunks, and you know, stems and like all this type of stuff is what, you know, someone who may be in the yard work, outdoor work, or construct, someone who does outdoor work is going to be first, you know, built in, right? It's going to be lifting, right? Most is going to be lifting. So when you train and work out now, it's like what your synapses perceives as proper technique is going to sort of follow technically what's already been built. You know what I'm saying? What's already been built and what's already been considered as right is really technically what the synapses is going to follow as correct form. But now, if it isn't necessarily correct form, right? Because the skill itself, you know, in lifting, there's a correct form to lift, right? But at the same time, we don't always lift that correct form. I'm one to say, you know, in terms of lifting, what's more important is to be able to lift according to what you've been trained, you know, what you've been trained and what you've been functionally trained to do, because that's what's going to translate, you know, into the function that you're trying to do, right? So it's taking lifting and it's taking your own, you know, taking the way that you already built and already know how to do the function, and then doing it and then utilizing that in order to progress you forward in the functionalities that you do. So this is what we really the subject of this video right here. You know, I think that is going to be, you know, the most crucial and important thing to know and to really do, because this is what, because it makes the journey and it makes the craft and what you're doing a lot more specific. It makes things a lot more specific, a lot more clear and organized, and more of what's the word I'm looking for? It makes things a lot more structured. Makes things a lot more structured. When you can follow, you know, when you can follow, it makes things a lot more structured. Just following the pattern of, that, right? So that is, why, it's important, because now I can go into my functionality and what my next assignment or objective or the task, and the task be structured. Because now I'm firing, the task be more structured, right? That's the key goal, right? Is to have more structure, right? And more clarity. And, that's what's going to come about in terms of, functioning in that way, right? The same way that you've been functioning is the same way that you continue to function in the weight room, right? What you conceptualize as right has to come down and meet what proper form is, but override what proper form is, and then take it to the next function, what you do in your construction work, right? Or in your tree cutting, or what's the word? Deck building, right? Deck building, right? Or something like, or whatever it may be, right? It had, you just move on to what you do with that, with that same, with that, with that training. So now, with that training. So that is the message I wanted to say in this video. Hopefully this was good, and hopefully this was helpful with us. So, whoever may need to hear it, but this is the functionality line of what functionality really is, right? In terms of as an occupation, right? In terms of your occupation, right? You know what I'm saying, and what good form really looks like, right? In terms of getting in the weight room. So that's going to conclude this video right here. Hopefully this was good for like I said, whoever needs to hear it. And peace, love. Go check us out on our other channels. We may have something on this. We may have something on the same topic. But yeah, peace, love, and we out this joint.